Welcome to Sinister Syllables, where we specialize in spine-tingling tales of horror. Today, we have a story about a love that turns deadly. It was a dark and stormy night, and Maria was walking home from a late shift at work. She was tired and just wanted to get home to her boyfriend, Alex. But as she walked through the empty streets, she felt like she was being watched. She turned around and saw a shadowy figure following her. She quickened her pace, but the figure kept getting closer. Finally, she turned around and saw a man with piercing green eyes and a devilish smile. "Hello, beautiful," the man said. "What are you doing out so late?" Maria tried to ignore him and keep walking, but the man grabbed her arm and pulled her close. "Don't be afraid," he whispered. "I just want to show you something." Maria was terrified, but she couldn't resist his charm. She followed him to an abandoned building, where he led her to a dimly lit room. The man introduced himself as Damon and told Maria that he was a vampire. At first, she didn't believe him, but as he showed her his fangs and proved his strength, she realized that he was telling the truth. Damon was unlike any man Maria had ever met. He was dark, dangerous, and seductive. He promised to show her a world she had never imagined, a world of pleasure and excitement. Maria was hesitant at first, but as Damon touched her, she felt a fire burning inside of her. She gave in to his desires, and they made love like never before. Days turned into weeks, and Maria and Damon became inseparable. But something was different about Maria. She was becoming weaker, losing her appetite, and feeling dizzy all the time. Damon told her that it was just a side effect of their intense love, but Maria knew something was wrong. She went to the doctor and discovered that she was pregnant. Maria was overjoyed, but Damon was furious. He told her that he couldn't have children, that their love was forbidden. Maria begged him to change his mind, but Damon refused. He left her alone in their dark, empty apartment, never to be seen again. Days turned into weeks, and Maria's pregnancy became more difficult. She was losing weight and feeling weaker every day. She knew that something was wrong, but she didn't know what to do. One night, she felt a sharp pain in her stomach and went into labor. She gave birth to a stillborn child, a tiny creature with fangs and a devilish smile. Maria was devastated, but she couldn't help but feel relieved. She knew that her love for Damon had been nothing but a curse, and that it had led to her ultimate downfall. But the story doesn't end there. As Maria lay in bed, mourning the loss of her child, she heard a strange noise coming from the closet. She thought it was just her imagination playing tricks on her, but the noise persisted. She slowly got out of bed and walked towards the closet. As she opened the door, she saw something that made her blood run cold. There, hanging from the clothes rack, was Damon's lifeless body. His eyes were open, staring blankly ahead, and his mouth was twisted into a grotesque smile. Maria screamed and stumbled back, tripping over her own feet and falling to the ground. As she lay there, shaking and sobbing, she realized that she had never truly known Damon. He had been a monster all along, using her for his own twisted desires. And now, he was gone, leaving her alone to deal with the aftermath of their tragic love affair. But despite the uneasy feeling in her gut, Emily couldn't help but feel drawn to Mark. He was charming, confident, and had a way with words that made her feel like she was the only person in the room. They talked for hours that night, and Emily found herself falling for him more and more with each passing minute. Before she knew it, they were kissing passionately in the park, with nothing but the sound of the crickets and the moonlight to witness their love. Days turned into weeks, and Emily and Mark became inseparable. They went on romantic dates, had wild sex, and talked about their dreams for the future. Emily was happier than she had ever been before, and she knew that she had found her soulmate. But as time went on, Emily began to notice strange things about Mark. He would disappear for days at a time, always with some vague excuse about work or family obligations. And when he did come back, he was different, cold, distant, and secretive. Emily tried to ignore the warning signs, but her intuition told her that something was seriously wrong. One night, she followed Mark when he said he was going out of town for a work trip. She trailed him to an old abandoned building on the outskirts of town. As she watched from a distance, she saw Mark enter the building with a group of people she didn't recognize. They were dressed in black robes, chanting and performing strange rituals. Emily was horrified, but she couldn't look away. As the night wore on, she watched in terror as Mark and the others began to change. Their eyes turned black, their skin became pale and scaly, and their teeth sharpened into fangs. Emily realized too late that she had fallen in love with a vampire, and that Mark had lured her into his world of darkness and death. As the vampires closed in on her, Emily knew that she had only one chance to escape. She ran as fast as she could, dodging their deadly claws and fangs. She made it back to her apartment and locked the door, but she knew that it was only a matter of time before they found her. She could hear their whispers in the darkness, their eerie laughter echoing in her ears. Emily knew that her time was running out, but as she sat alone in her apartment, waiting for the vampires to break down the door and claim her as their next victim, she realized that she had never felt more alive. For Emily, the love and sex with Mark had been a gateway to a world of darkness and terror. But in that moment, as she faced her own mortality, she realized that there was something exhilarating about the fear and the danger. And that's the end of our story. I hope it gave you chills and reminded you to be careful who you give your heart to. Thanks for watching Sinister Syllables, and we'll see you in the next video.